Hello and welcome to another episode of the A-10 Insider Podcast here on the Field of 68 Media Network. My name is Rob Dosher. I'm going to be joined here in just a minute by Jeff Goodman, and we will have a chance to talk with Loyola head coach Drew Valentine. We are going to be talking through his Ramblers 5-1 start to the A-10 season. They are sitting here in the middle of January, a game out of first place in the Atlantic 10, and coming off of last year's struggles in their first year changing conferences. I don't know how many people had the Ramblers pegged as a team that could compete for an A-10 regular season title, but that is exactly where they are. They are heading on the road on Tuesday to go play VCU. They've just won at Fordham over the weekend, so it's a chance for them to pick up a couple of really big road wins in a stretch here where they play 4 out of 6 away from home. So big chance to stay a game within first place of Richmond and a game within first place of Dayton, who are currently leading the A-10 regular season. I always enjoy speaking with Drew. He's one of the younger coaches in college basketball, and I enjoy his perspective on life, on the business, and frankly, on the fashion that comes with being a college basketball head coach. I think there's no one in college basketball that appreciates the ability to get the shoes that he can get more than Drew Valentine. We asked him the best way to deal with having a nice pair of Jordans or a nice pair of Nikes on when you are dealing with the winter weather that comes with coaching in Chicago and the Northeast, where a lot of Atlantic 10 teams are located. So without further ado, let's get into that interview. Loyola head coach, Drew Valentine. Now, let me welcome on to the A-10 Insider Podcast, the head coach of the Loyola Chicago Ramblers, sitting at 5-1, second place in the A-10 as we sit here today on Monday afternoon. Drew Valentine. Drew, what's going on, man? Heck of a start to the season you guys have had.
Man, it's been good. It's been seeing our group grow, and we're in a good spot. Just got to keep pushing.
So I wanted to ask you a little bit about Philip Alston. We talked with him at Media Day. We know what his story is, and we know how unlikely it is that he's kind of gone on the path that he's gone on. But what have you seen out of him this season? He's I feel like he's one of the guys that no one really talks about in the A-10.
Yeah, for him, his year probably hasn't gone as smooth as he wanted it to. He got hurt in our third game of the year, and he missed about 3 weeks. Like, he missed our Thanksgiving tournament, the Hall of Fame Classic where we played Creighton and Boston College. Like, he missed those games, and but I think he's really starting to, over the last few games, he's really starting to figure out where his shots are going to be at again. He's starting to understand how to play with his teammates, and just kind of how we've morphed and formed as the season has gone along. We knew that this group this year had a chance to be pretty good, but with so much, as all coaches will talk about, with so much turnover, and then like our freshmen that are sophomores now, them integrating, Quinn and Dawson, those guys getting better, and so I think he's starting to understand what we're trying to do better, and we're learning how to figure out how to get him the ball in different spots, because it's different, man. Last year, he kind of took everybody by surprise as a guy coming from D2. And this year, he's learning how to, he's a preseason all-league player, and he's at the top of people's scouting reports, and they're, finding different ways to guard him, and they're making it hard on him. So I think he's settling in and understand that he doesn't have to force things as much. But I've been most pleased with him, with his leadership, and how fun he's been to coach, and how much he's just sometimes, like, there's been a couple games this year, like he had 0 points a couple weeks ago in a game, and he was totally fine after the game. And so that's what I'm most proud of, is how he's helping us win games, and being a leader on the team.
So you've won 7 of your last 8. How much more sleep are you getting this year than last year?
I mean, I'm happier. I'll say that. I got a better attitude. I guess when I wake up, better spirit. But last year I looked at it as a year of growth for me. I didn't look at it as a failure, or obviously it wasn't something that I was too happy of, during it and then at the end of the year. But our staff buckled down. I had a lot of staff turnover, but Sean Dwyer and myself, the two guys that are, on my, me and him, we buckled down and added the staff that we thought was going to help make us a championship level team. And obviously really went to work with player development as well as adding new players and a freshman and through the transfer portal. So definitely great, much better vibes every day. My wife will tell you that in the Valentine household every day.
You're much happier. Yeah, you're a better husband, right?
For sure. Yeah, no doubt.
What have you learned and taken after the year that you had last year, your first year in the A-10? What have you changed anything about the way that you're kind of approaching the season? Did you learn anything from last year that you are now applying and seeing results from?
Yeah, I think last year we started to become a little bit more simple on both sides of the ball. My first year as a head coach, we had all those Lucas Williamson and Hero Guak, Tate Hall. We had Keith Clemens is on my staff now. Those guys were in their third, fourth, fifth year of the program, and so those guys we could put in 8 new plays before a game and they could go out and execute them, and we could do 4 or 5 different ball screen coverage and they could execute them all. And last year we became more simple. And we've kind of continued with that. And our offensive numbers don't necessarily reflect it because of we're getting better at offensive rebounding and A-10 play, but we haven't gotten to the point where I want to get at in that aspect, and then also return the ball over too much. And so those things are making us a little less efficient, but our defensive number is kind of back up to where it's been over our time here at Loyola. And so I think the more simplistic way, but like the intensity that we're doing it with has really, really helped us. And then obviously like the identity, like what is our program's identity in the A-10? And I think our roster reflects how we want our identity to look, what we want our identity to look like in a new league.
Yeah, I mean your defense was really good, your first year and last year not so good. When you say simplify though, like how much has that changed even from your first year? Because obviously you took over a program, guys knew the system, they knew the program. Now it's hard because again, you've got developing, changing rosters every year. How different do you have to make it, especially in the offseason earlier in the year?
Yeah, this summer, it was crazy. I know we were talking about defense, but transfer Des Watson asked me after the summer. He texted me. We had like a 2-week break in August, and he texted me. He said, "Hey, coach, are we going to run any plays this year?" Because all we were running was our base offense all summer, and I'm like, "Des, trust me, we're going to have a million actions and just
we'll get there."
But just for example, like when we played against Illinois in the tournament, obviously in 21, like we had a ball screen coverage for every single person. We had 5 different ball screen coverages, and it was all personnel based. And with screen and roll coverages, if you're up trapping or putting pressure on the ball, like from different angles, your whole team has to work in unison. And I think we've become more simple with like things like that, for example, or we might do one post coverage on one block and one post coverage on another block, and we've just gone less and less of that and become more simple with how we are going about things.
I wanted to ask you about Braden Norse because if my math is correct and you carry the 2, this is his 6th year in college basketball. And when you're talking about that, like the adjustment and simplifying stuff, and how much value do you put in a guy that he was a transfer, but he's now in year 4 at Loyola, right? Like he is the stalwart of the program, at least it looks like from the outside.
For sure. He's actually in year 5, but year 4 playing.
Yeah.
And so
Rob can't add. Hey. Rob cannot add.
I told you I had to carry the 2, man. Math is tough.
Exactly. But he's just, I think, I was talking to one of our younger guards actually yesterday about it. Jalen Quinn is like Braden he's got ultimate trust and belief from me, but what makes him even more easy to trust and believe in is because it's reciprocated. Mm-hmm. Whatever we try to go out and execute, obviously, like he's an experienced, he's 24 years old, so he's going to have input and he's going to ask questions and he's going to not necessarily challenge coaching, but he's going to be like, he's going to make suggestions and he's going to have his own ideas. But if I say, Braden, trust me, we watched it on film, he's going to try to go out and execute exactly what I want or what our staff wants. And so when it's a 2-way street and you have that relationship with your lead guard, that kind of sets the tone for the whole whole locker room, whole team dynamic, and especially for a guy that's played in two NCAA tournaments, that's been an all-league player before, that's done it on the biggest stage, that's done it against some of the best guards in the country. So he's got the ultimate trust. He's the ultimate competitor, and he loves Loyola basketball. Like last night we were at dinner, and the conversation that came up, we have great conversations, obviously, but like we were going around the table and it was who's everybody's all-time Loyola, like since I've been here, who's our starting five. And I told him, I said, I'm going with players that aren't playing right now. So because I knew he's probably trying to get me to say him, but he was going around and getting other guys to talk about who their favorite guys were. So that's fun when you can have conversations like that when your point guard thinks that way.
What you just mentioned about the pushback and him kind of coming in with ideas of his own and wanting to know why, you know who that reminds me of? That reminds me a lot of like a Tom Izzo staff, right? Where it's the back and forth between the players and am I reading that right? I know you started out your coaching career with him.
For sure, for sure. And you welcome that. You want, and you know, coaches always talked about, I'm open for suggestions, but you got to bring the goods. That was like his term, you know, to guys like my brother that we had there. And Braden's got the goods, and you can trust what he's saying, one, because it's all about the team. He's not trying to get something a certain way or get the ball in his hands because he wants to be the hero. He could care less. He scored 3 points in our game against Fordham on Saturday. Took one shot, made it, but had 3 points, and he was happy as heck after the game, and was hyping guys up, and you know, came back the next day with no animosity, and so yeah, I'm lucky to have him, and he's been a huge reason why we've had a lot of success here.
So how big is this next game? I mean, at VCU, again, you've got this thing going. It's hard to go on a run like you've gone on, you know, in the A-10, the one game you lost at home against Richmond. But this is a big one because after that, you get two at home.
Yeah, no doubt. And, you know, this is our first time playing here. And so with us being the second year, we've, you know, everybody talks about the Siegel Center and the atmosphere there, and our guys are excited about it. You know, we played at Fordham on Saturday, and because it's such a quick turnaround, obviously you can tell them in a hotel. We came straight from New York to Richmond yesterday, so we got to shoot in the gym last night. Did a little walkthrough there last night. Got to practice in there today. So we're excited and welcome the challenge. Coach Odom has done a great job, you know, since they've gotten healthy with Bear Style and got Bam Seal eligible. They're really, really firing. They're super talented offensively. And obviously I haven't coached against them before, but like you can tell from watching them on tape that they're extremely, extremely well coached. They do a great job sharing the ball. I love their style of play. We kind of play similar offensively to how they play, and they've got a bunch of long, talented athletes. So we got to come with it to get a win.
I didn't realize that was the first time you guys are going to be playing at VCU. You're a year and a half into your tenure at in the Atlantic 10. It's the first time heading down there. Did you get any advice like when it comes to playing there? That place can get loud. I know they got a band that's crazy. A guy that likes to take his shirt off leading the band. It's one of those deals where we don't let Jeff Goodman go there because Goodman would probably want to take his shirt off and go up there and try to conduct the band. So he's banned from Richmond, period.
Man, so we got two guys. So on our staff, one of our strength coach actually got his start as a GA there under Rhodes. So he kind of talked to us about it. And then Will Bailey, veteran coach on my staff that I hired, has spent a lot of time in Atlantic 10, has played a lot of tough ones there. So we definitely put a lot of hand signals in. And we were testing them out today with some crowd noise from a loudspeaker that we kind of travel with. So we'll see if how good our communication is.
All right. So if you could pick one coach, head coach in the A-10 that you do not want to play one-on-one, who would it be?
Probably T-Skin.
Yeah. Good answer.
I mean,
although he said he's banged up. He's never been the same. He's injured. So I don't know. Man. Maybe you could get him.
I mean, obviously he's probably one of the better players, but I mean, you see how in shape he is. I mean, I'm not in the most tip-top shape I've ever been in my life. So he might if we're playing three dribbles, I can still defend a little bit and I can still shoot it a little bit. So It'll be a close one, but probably T-Skin.
Who's the guy? All right, on the other side, you have to pick one guy that you don't that basically you want to face. One guy you want to face. I'm giving you two names here. They're probably close. There's going to be a tough call. Fran Dunphy or Chris Capito.
Man, I don't want to get bulletin board material either. I'd probably say, I mean, I'll say Caputo. Even though he's fiery. He's fiery.
He'll fight you.
He'll fight me.
He'll fight you.
But Coach Dumpf he's
Look
a
at
legend,
that. He picked Dumpf over. Basically, you're saying if you wanted a teammate to play 2-on-2 with, you would take 70 whatever year old Fran Dunphy over Chris Capito. That's what you just said.
You know what? I mean, Caputo's gonna fight though, so I mean it's hard. But Dunphy, we might be able to. He might be able to like stand over on the side and tell me what to do, just because he's such an accomplished coach.
Right. He could probably make a shot too,
No
like drive and kick
He's
to
a
him.
legend,
I bet you
man.
Dunphy could make him.
He's a legend, man. I can't go against the guy.
How cool is it though? Honestly, like you grow up watching Fran Dunphy, and now you coach against. I mean, that's kind of the fun part of this league for you now, isn't it? Like some of these dudes that you get to coach against. I mean, again, Frank Martin, Dumpf, some of these guys, it's just like, Anthony Grant's been doing it a long time. What's the biggest piece of advice you've picked up maybe from an opposing coach in this league, whether it's something they've told you or just something you've learned from them from coaching against them?
Last week after we played UMass, I mean, before the game, and after the game, man, like Frank Martin's been a guy that has been just awesome to me. Since since we joined the league, obviously we he came back to UMass at the same time we joined, and he just talked a lot about like family and balance to me. Like we have the A-10 meetings every spring, and I think he's so passionate. It reminds me a lot of Coach Izzo, with the way that he goes about things, and you can tell his guys really love playing for him. And so just like the way that he conducts his business and treats his family and runs his program and interacts with his fans and is doing his own podcast. It's like I love the way that Frank goes about things, and I really look up to the way that he does it.
The one thing that stands out to me about Frank is that he, from the outside, seems like one of the most intimidating human beings on the face of the earth. And then you get to know him, and he's really just this big old teddy bear that is this big old softy and like a really emotional, in touch with his sensitive side. Like he's who he is as a person is not who he is. When you see him on the sideline giving those angry faces, yelling at people.
No doubt, man. I respect the heck out of Frank Martin. Seriously.
I think we're good. I'm glad you guys are winning. I'm glad you're getting better sleep. I'm glad your wife likes you again. I mean, listen, like it's hard to go through it, right? It is hard to go through it, especially when you're not prepared for it and you've never gone through it like you did last year. And I think it probably makes you appreciate it a little bit more this year.
It certainly does. And I think our guys are more appreciative of it. And that's where, there's been times before where, you take for granted how, the winning that we did my first, 6 years here and my first 7 years here. So, I think, our guys are more appreciative of it.
All right, last one I got for you, and then we'll let you go, Drew. In Chicago, I know it's been cold. There's been snow. There's been rain. It's been a little bit messy. You got it on the East Coast too. You're a sneakerhead. As you deal with all of this nasty weather and the snow on the ground and that brown muck that gets on next to the curb whenever the snow starts to melt a little bit, how do you deal with that with the shoe situation?
What you do is you get a nice pair of Nike boots or Jordan boots, whichever one you prefer, and you wear those in your car, and then once you get to the office, you put on a fresh pair. I actually got on a fresh pair right now. These are the Travis Scott, the Nike Attacks, the Mac Attacks, John McEnroe joints just came out. So now we're in Richmond right now. It's 50 degrees outside, so I've been waiting to pull these out. So
can you get me those in size 15, Drew?
I got you. Actually, yeah, I got you.
All right. I'm in. I'll pay you for them. I can't. Size 15, not easy to get.
No doubt. Hey, we got a couple connections this way, though, man.
All right. Well, listen, we appreciate you joining us, man. Glad that you guys are rolling here and keep it going. And we'll talk to you soon.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me on.